Oh, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jo Butler-Green, a member of Devon Dowsers, with a developing interest in water dowsing and its practical applications to everyday life. And I'm really fortunate to be able to chat to Guy Hodson this afternoon. Guy is a physicist, engineer, and long-time member of the British Society of Dowsers, and he's a key member of the Dowsing Research Group. Guy's a professional dowser who's written extensively for the British Society of Dowsers Journal, and he's guided many people over the years to reconnect with their innate dowsing skills, both at home and in Africa. As a former trustee, Guy has close links with the charity Village Water, which is an organisation I know whose work he's passionate about. So Guy, thank you for your time. I want to focus on your dowsing work on the ground in Western Province, Zambia, with the support of the British Society of Dowsers and Village Water, to reach and support over 1 million people previously living without clean water. So to start, I'd like to home in on your specific dowsing skills and ask you, when you get out to Africa and identify a particular community, what is the dowsing process that you use on the ground?
Well, hi, Jo. Lovely to be doing this recording.
You're welcome.
It's time honoured. It's what I've learned from the courses that I did originally with the BSD, with some very, very experienced dowsers indeed, going back decades. And it's the way of dowsing that's developed for centuries. And basically, I actually use angle rods, nice, fairly heavy BSD standard. Well, the reason why I use the large, heavy ones is that if it's windy, they still give a proper response, so they don't get blown out all over the place. It's all utterly practical. And actually, experienced dowsers don't need the rods, but it's just very helpful. It helps concentration, and it meets the expectation of any onlookers or clients or people who are interested. So it helps to use them. And I go through a process of identifying the quality of the water. Is it drinkable? Does that particular form of aquifer make a reasonable water point or well for the particular technology they're using, whether it's drilling or digging or whatever? And just water quality, water quantity. Also, what may be relevant, particularly if you're drilling, is the width of the aquifer. If it's too narrow, you're likely to miss it. So that's of enormous benefit, because you don't want to spend 3 weeks digging a well or drilling to find that there's no water at the bottom of it, or there's not quite enough, or it's unreliable, and it's, so you have to just start again. So if you can imagine that in most situations you've got an impervious layer, so rainwater trickles through the rocks or the sand, and you've got a layer where the water piles up or then forms an underground stream, i.e. a linear aquifer. And if you drill, if you dig, just say 1 meter to the side of that, you'll still get some water, but it just won't flow so quickly and easily. And also in many of the areas, so the areas here in Sussex, but also over there in Western Zambia, there are whole areas where it's this lovely old English word, chalybeate. It's very strongly iron bearing. And what you really do want to do is to avoid the iron, because and other metals like arsenic for obvious reasons. And the iron, okay, it's drinkable just about, but it tastes horrible. And all the food cooked in it tastes horrible too. and long-term use is not good for your kidneys. But it's obviously better than nothing if that's what you're faced with. But I had an instance where I think the best time I saw the use, we came across a village where if you have iron in the water, the iron pipes connected up to the pump rot. And it's really strange. It's actually due to bacteria actually rot the pipes totally. They just fall apart. And it's so not only is the water taste horrible, but it wrecks your equipment as well. And we came across this, and we managed to douse. There was water on the surface, which was iron bearing, and there was water down the well, which again was iron wearing. But we managed not too far away to identify a stream which had clean water, and they dug a well and they found it was okay. And that was a tricky one. I didn't honestly have that much faith that I would actually find it, but it worked. That was my biggest dowsing challenge, and it's in tricky situations like that where dowsing really proves its worth. Now, yes, more questions.
So yes, so as always, it's the questions that you ask are key, and using dowsing, you can find out about the quality of the water, the depth of the water, the amount of water that you have there to make sure that you drill in the right place. Have you ever used map dowsing successfully in this situation, Guy?
With map dowsing, I have used map dowsing successfully. I feel a bit distant from it, and I'd rather not. I use it when I have to, but I'd rather not, because I want to be as certain as I possibly can, and that's why I don't like remote dowsing. I have done remote dowsing successfully as well with another dowser over the phone, but that's a one-off, and so. What I found was there was a cycle. So with Village Water, we got a really good process going, and 10 minutes or half an hour of that 9-month process for putting a well in and getting all the water hygiene, the hygiene and sanitation, and training everybody to wash their hands and clean up the village and dig latrines and all that kind of stuff. Dowsing is half an hour in all that process, and it's done ever so quickly. So kind of while the others were talking to people in the village and briefing them about what the whole thing was about and getting agreement to work with us, I would whiz around quickly with my rods to find the place where they would drive a stake in. We'd agree, and we'd shake hands at that point with the head man or head woman to say that we're going to put a well in this position. But it got to the stage where I could actually see the water at a distance on the surface of the sand. And I wasn't expecting that, it just came. And I'd read about other dowsers happening to them. And it was fascinating for me to be able to do that. So I was very, very quickly able to identify the several points, and I'd talk to the villagers and see which was the best place for them, because water is extreme. We're used to just turning a tap on and it flowing through the pipe. They've got to carry all the water, and water, as you know, is really heavy. So it was a question of finding the best place.
Are you describing deviceless dowsing there, Guy, when you say you were able to see where the water was on the land?
Kind of. It's almost like visionary dowsing. Deviceless dowsing just means I don't have to use the rods if I haven't got them with me. I like to use them because they come to hand nice and quickly, and it's about minimizing the inaccuracy or lack of concentration or whatever. So I like to use the rods like in the photograph.
How receptive do you find local people when you're out on the ground and they watch you dowse? Do they, are they open to it? Do they want to learn?
Totally. I mean, there's just no, everyone's just really interested in what they're doing and just take it as normal and natural. And I think also this particular gentleman here had put in a well for a village. And I went there and dowsed, and he had put the well on the only stream going through the village. But they just do it intuitively. What our detailed methodology can do, which is developed over centuries, is quantify the amount of water and the quality of the water, yeah. Which and also put boundary conditions on it so that it out of all the sources available, that's the one that's going to keep going in at the end of the dry season.
Okay, so you explained a little bit about your biggest dowsing success in Africa. What would you say has been the greatest challenge that you faced on the ground when working in Zambia?
Actually, it's sort of human emotion. Village Water's like no other charity on earth. United Nations says that the best thing you can do dollar for dollar is to do water hygiene and sanitation. And this tiny team of people, a handful of people, has managed to provide water hygiene and sanitation to a million people. And so that when you're dowsing, it's important to not get too emotional, because you've got, say, 10 or a dozen children clustering around you with flies in their eyes and distended bellies. And you know, the stats are that with unclean water, 44 out of 10 of them will be dead by the time they're 5. And you know that all of these children around you while you're dowsing, you're saving their lives.
Yes, I can feel the emotion as you're talking about this. So how would you summarize then the added value that dowsing can bring to these communities and enhance the lives of the people that live within them?
Oh, well, Village Water now have a dozen well digging or well development teams, because some of them do drilling and other techniques now, which are quicker and you can get deeper than digging. And it's safer as well, because digging wells is quite dangerous. It'd be working with them to give them more information about selecting the well sites, meaning that there'll be fewer drier wells, and it's going to save them time and money, and also increase the quality of what the well delivers.
Yes. So I know that you plan to return to Western Province later this year as part of the British Society of Dowsers' ongoing commitment to village water. So can you briefly explain the aims of your follow-up trip? Well, really, it's just what I've said. It's just working with the well digging teams to tell them is what we've found. We've found in terms of extra information by going through a straightforward process, how to, teaching them. It's what I teach on my training courses: how to depth, how to depth, how to do the quality, and if they're drilling the width, the drillable width. So if you're going down 20 meters and it's only a foot wide, you could easily miss it. And so it's the drillable width, the depth to the bottom of the aquifer, depth to the top of the aquifer, the volume of water being delivered, to make sure that it's big enough for the size of the community that the well is for, and the water quality, to make sure that there's no, for instance, iron in it. So greater accuracy leads to greater success when you're dowsing for water and digging for wells.
And so, although Village Water started with dowsing, was a major component. We did, because the dowsing and the drillers have been successful. Dowsing quickly disappears because it's not an issue. Okay, yes. So it takes a very short amount of time, if you've got reasonably drillable wells, then it's not an issue. But it is, because we'll be able to provide wells that last longer, yes, and deliver better water. And it's so quickly done. It's not going to interrupt with Village Water's processes. It's just going to improve their quality.
Just enhance. Yes, I see that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Guy. It's really useful, informative explanation. So I think if people from the wider dowsing community have been watching and are inspired by this life enhancing work and the clear, strong contribution that dowsing can make on the ground in Africa, how can we get involved as a dowsing community to support your work?
Okay, we are this year, who knows what will come out of this for next year, other countries or other well drinking teams. I mean, so this year we hope to raise 3,500 for travel. That includes travel costs. I and colleague will be paying for all of the subsistence costs, i.e. Guest houses and food, but also there's interruption costs. Village Water's programs will be interrupted by us being there and borrowing the well digging teams as well. So we're adding 50% of whatever we raise here, which will go straight to Village Water. And if you want to make a donation, Google GoFundMe, and within the search box in GoFundMe, search for Water Dowsing Africa, and there you'll better make a donation.
Thank you, Guy. That's really useful. And on behalf of the dowsing community, I wish you every success when you go back to Zambia and continue dowsing for good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been great to be involved. Okay, so stop recording now.